meeting. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlo, Second Ward.
Michael Safone, 4th Ward. Stefan Krakow, 5th Ward.
Ann Shushin, 6th Ward.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. Welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. And tonight's agenda, first thing we have is a committee of the whole. It's a presentation about 675 Dutchess Turnpike. And then we'll go to the town board agenda. Number 1 is a public hearing on 6 Lafco Drive. Number 2 is a public hearing on a community development block grant. Number 3 is a resolution, Hudson Heritage Sewer District. 4 is Bill Parcel 3 legal agreements. 5 is authorized IBM water easement agreement. 6, authorized vacation rollover of Chief Faber. 7, reappointment to Climate Smart Task Force. 8, authorize a tax share settlement Underhill Solar. 9, authorize the supervisor to sign agreement with the county for the municipal investment grant program. A treatment plant odor control project. B, joint water meter replacement project. C, portable emergency generators. 10, a notification of claim referred to legal, Lloyd Gray versus the town. 11, retain and authorize to sign HDR Consultants, Zoning Board, Planning Board for Verizon Wireless Communications Facility Review. 12, authorize SPAC and kill bonding, DEC Order A, grant application B, secret type 2. C, bonding resolution. 3, order call in a public hearing. 13, authorize special consents, SC1, Joseph Motangelo appointed to Highway Department. SC2, appoint Jason Caridia, MEO, to the Highway Department. With that, I'd like to go to the committee of the whole presentation on 675 Dutchess Turnpike. I think we have Mr. Rettle here to present tonight.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the town board, thank you for giving me the opportunity to appear before you tonight. I made a presentation during an April committee of the whole meeting. Since then, we were getting ready to prepare some plans, and Mr. Welke suggested I reappear to discuss this matter with you to bring it fresher in your memories. Can I share my screen?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yep. Okay. This is the site located at 675 Dutchess Turnpike. This is Route 44. It's located at the top of what I knew to be Brickyard Hill when I was a kid. It's an irregular shaped lot. Access is here from Route 44. We do own some property of a 50-foot wide strip out to Catskill Avenue. Here's a picture of the building now. It's about a 28,000 square foot warehouse. It's quite unsightly. We've got a tenant in there now that's going to be leaving soon. He's in the printing business, and with today's technology in our digital world, he doesn't have much of a business. He'll be leaving. We wanted to do something to spruce up the site and repurpose it. And we came up with an idea to convert the warehouse into residential apartments. They'd be at market rate, no Section 8 or low income. We wanted to do market rate to bring a nice class of people into the neighborhood. In order to do this, it would require a zoning change. Right now, the site is zoned light industrial. We'd be making an application to the town board to change the zoning to RM, which would permit us to change it into apartments. This is a rendering of the proposed site. You can see here's the outlay of the property, and what we plan to do. This is the warehouse. Entrance would be in off of Route 44 with Parking, I think we've allowed for 50 parking spaces. This exit out to Catskill Avenue would only be for access for emergency vehicles only. It would be gated with a Knox box to allow emergency vehicles to go in, because if you've got a fire truck coming up the hill, he's not going to be able to make the U-turn to come around, so they'll come in straight Catskill Avenue and in that way. We think that would be much safer. It's 50, we own 50 feet there, so we'll be able to make the road wide enough for any type of fire apparatus. This also shows some of the amenities we'd like to put on the property, some outdoor seating. What's also nice is it's right next to the rail trail. Right now, people walking or riding a bike on the rail trail are looking at an ugly cement block building. We think it would be spruce it up and make it look nicer. We plan on having a community garden. This photograph here shows that there's a great deal of residential in the area already, so we think that an RM designation would fit in well. I previously spoke with Ms. Lopez about this plan. However, I understand she's not running for re-election, and Berger was the successful candidate. I did reach out to Ms. Berger, and I sent her a copy of these plans to try to bring her up to speed, since any action on this would be after the first of the year when she'd be sitting with the town board. The inside of the building layout showing the different apartments. We're proposing 27 apartments, either 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. Most of it would be 1 bedrooms. It would be 2 floors. The ceiling is high enough in the building. It's steel construction inside, where we could add a 2nd floor so that the apartments would have loft areas. This would be the 2nd floor showing the loft areas. Now this is what we're proposing to have a look. This is what you'd see, this east elevation, that's what you would see from the rail trail now, as opposed to the ugly block building. This would be the north elevation as well. We think it would really bring the aesthetics up for the property and also for anybody using the rail trail. This is an overhead rendering of how the building would look once it's all built out. The rear would be amenities for people. These would be little gardens that we would put in. People, if they wanted to grow their own herbs or things of that nature, flowers, they could grow them. Outside seating, people could suntan. To give you an idea of, let's just see here. This is what the apartments would look like inside. This would be a 2-bedroom. This is the loft upstairs. The downstairs would have living room, kitchen, bath, 2nd floor, 1st floor. We think it'll be a real nice, we want to do a real nice job on it. We think it would be beneficial to the area. We think it would fit in because there is a great deal of residential in the area. We think that changing the zoning and repurposing this warehouse would fit in with the new comprehensive plan that's being reviewed and codified. It'll add more taxes to the town, and we just think it'll also help area businesses too by bringing more residents into the area. They'll spend more money in town. And that, in a nutshell, is my presentation. I would be happy to field any questions that any board member may have, or any of the, such as Jim Nelson or Mike Welty.
I have a few questions. What's the current zoning for that property?
Light industrial.
Light industrial. And if it's residential multifamily, it pays a residential tax rate or commercial tax rate? Commercial?
Probably commercial.
Okay, all right. After the prior presentation, I went over and took a look. I drove over there because I was kind of curious because I couldn't figure out exactly where it was.
Okay.
And even when I went, I couldn't figure out exactly where it was because there's another piece of property in front of it that's like an auto shop or a welding shop or something.
It's building, John Harkins owns that, yes.
Okay, and that's not part of the proposal, correct?
No, it's not. He owns that property separate.
So here's my 2 cents.
Okay.
I don't think it fits. I think it's too much. I think it's jamming something into a piece of property based on what you want to do, not based on really what the best use is. I think the light industrial use actually is fine there. It looks like there's already a wooded buffer between that property and the rail trail, so I'm not sure for most of the year how much people walking on the rail trail really see that. And as far as I know, I've never heard of a complaint of somebody walking on a rail trail and they said, geez, I walked by that stone building and I wish somebody would change that. So they're redesigned to benefit the rail trail. I don't really see. I think the traffic coming in and out of there by making it residential creates a mess on a road that's already too busy. And I think it puts people before and after that potentially at risk because when you have too many cars coming out of too many places, you create a situation where there's a lack of predictability, and that's when accidents happen, people can get hurt. So my feeling is it's just a bad fit for that spot. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And I drove in there, looked around, I tried to figure it out. I also, the access road, emergency vehicles coming down the neighboring road, I think is problematic because if that's the best way for them to get in, to be able to get into the property if there's an emergency, I think you create a hazard. And it's not just if there's a fire. Emergency vehicles show up for all kinds of different reasons. So the likelihood of an emergency vehicle going in there is probably fairly good in the course of a year. I don't know how many times it would be, but if you have 27 units, there's a possibility that you could have a decent amount of traffic on that other street. And a fire, and I'm not sure how it happens everywhere, but I know when I've been at a location where somebody's called 911, you get the police, you get an ambulance, and you get a fire truck. You get that big rig that comes out. That big rig barreling down that neighboring street to get there because of an emergency puts the people on that street at risk. So like I said, from a traffic point of view, I think it's a terrible fit. And I just, putting too much into a small piece of property, and honestly, I don't really have such a big issue with that. I've never seen that building before until I went back there to look at it when the original proposal came in. So the idea that we got to clean it up, if you guys own it, you should want to clean it up anyway. If you think it looks terrible, you probably should do something to make it look better no matter what happens as far as rezoning. But I just see it as a really poor fit for that spot.
All right, thank you for your comments, Mr. Pecco.
Mike, you have anything? Ann?
Yeah, do you still need the roundabout that you have in there? Can't people from the parking pull out and head out the same entrance that they came in? Are they really going to need that roundabout in the woods, especially if you're just using the connecting road for emergency vehicles?
They may not need it. You're right. People can back out of the parking space and just go out the entrance. It's just for people that are parked in the back. If Federal Express comes in and wants to drop something off, they're usually larger vans, so it might be easier for them to go around to the roundabout, and that's why we put that in there.
Mr. Carlos?
If I might, that building on the corner has the gym upstairs. When I was in the police department, our traffic division was in that building. And I was in the traffic unit and we kept 2 police cars in there. So for us to get out, we would have had to come up the hill and make the turns at the end of the driveway. All hours of the day and night, all weather conditions. That is a horrific intersection. I couldn't support bringing those people in and out of that entrance. How many apartments did you say?
25 to 27.
So 25 to 27 people, so maybe 2 in each one, times the number of cars. That intersection can't deal with that. I'd have to vote no on this the way it is.
Okay?
Jeff, you
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Carlos.
I think Bill Carlos and Stefan said it all, really. I think the same thing. It's just there's going to be, excuse me, a traffic issue up there.
I'll agree that traffic is my major standpoint, because that is just a horrible location to get in and out of. I mean, even with the access road for the fire, I don't have as much issues with the department getting out, but I do have an issue. That's such a tight spot for two vehicles in general to get in and out. I don't see where it can work at this time.
Well, that would be in existence even if I didn't create apartments and we rented it out to a large company that needed warehouse space. We've got employees down there. We still have the same issue. And we could do that as of right.
I don't think it's the same issue. I think when you have people living in a building, the likelihood of emergency vehicles coming in and out probably increases. Warehouse, probably not as much. I mean, there's always a risk that somebody could get hurt in a warehouse, but I mean, life in and of itself from time to time tends to bring on the need for emergency vehicles. So I think there's a completely, warehouse versus residential is a very, very different use and very, very, very different traffic flow. So I don't think the same situation exists no matter what happens.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Anybody got anything else? No? Thanks for your presentation.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah. No, at the end.
Not at the end.
At the end. This was just a presentation to the board. You weren't here when I stated, but at the very end of our meeting, anybody can discuss any item in general, and we'll give everybody a chance to speak then. Committee of the whole meeting. Jeff, fire advisor?
Yes, we had our meeting and we just discussed some of the activities that went on. Fairview Fire District, they held an open house. They had great turnout. Arlington Fire District did their fire prevention in about 15 schools and daycare centers. About 2,000 students they reached out to, about 60 man-hours on that. New Hamburg also did fire prevention at their elementary school and that's their Head Start. And then we just discussed some alarm problems and corrective actions from the board.
Yeah, thank you. Infrastructure?
Nothing to report.
Finance? Nothing to report. Personnel?
No.
Nothing to report. Recreation?
All right. We had a very successful Halloween event. It was supposed to be a trunk or treat, but it ended up being in the senior center, and amazing number of children showed up in costume. We estimate about 300 children showed up, and I ran out of candy many times. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. We really had a great day, and we had a very successful Halloween parade with their costumes. It was really a cute event. Okay, and also happy to report that the recreation has completed renovations on the tennis courts on Country Club Estates, and Greenville and Country Club Estates now has pickleball lines on the tennis court too, so this is a good thing. And next thing they're moving on to is updoing the basketball court at Millbank Park, so that's good too. And what they're offering now for Christmas, that if you're interested in having your house decorated up in lights and want to have it on a list of town residents so that people can drive by and see it, you can just contact the recreation department, and they're pulling together a list of people who want their houses to be seen, and they'll put them on the list of, so you can drive by and take a look at them. And also, if you'd like to join Light Up Hudson Valley, that's for houses that are lit up in the entire Hudson Valley. So go to the town rec department to do that.
Right to the website. They're both on the website. that
They're
they
both
can-
on the website,
They can both
The rec
apply on the
website.
website.
the
yeah.
rec website.
In December 4th, Arlington Bid will be having their holiday street fair type setting there. We'll have vendors and different things, and at 4:30 from the Galleria Mall, the town will be having a caravan like we had last year. With all the vehicles decorated and lit up, we'll be going from the Galleria Mall, and we'll be coming down 376 and going through Arlington, and after Arlington, we'll join Arlington with a walking parade, and then we'll go through Arlington and proceed on to Eastdale Village to finish up at Eastdale Village this year. And last year we had close to 100 vehicles, so this year we're hoping to have more vehicles, and it should be very good. It's a good time. If you want to participate, can either call my office or the highway department to put your name on a list to just decorate your vehicle and come, or any organization. Or if you just want to participate and watch, you can reach out and we'll give you a map of where they're going to be. Next, the end of the committee of the whole meeting. Town board agenda. First thing on the board agenda is a public hearing on 6 Lafco Drive. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 1.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here to discuss public hearing number 1? Good evening, Wayne.
Take a couple minutes to get this all warmed up.
You want? Wayne, it's gonna take you a couple minutes?
Yes.
All right. We don't usually do this, but if anybody would like to speak about 675 Dutchess Turnpike while he's setting it up, instead of making you wait, anybody wants to come up, you can come up and speak now. Yeah. Just ask you to limit to like 3 minutes if possible, you know, and that way Wayne can set up. We don't want you to have to wait any longer than you have to. You can just sit down, state your name.
I live on Catskill Avenue, and I want to reinforce the fact that that street narrows as you come in from 44. There's a slight rise, and the street is not uniformly
Sir, if you could
wide.
sit down, then we could hear you
Can
better in
hear
the
me,
mic.
or do you want me to?
Well, you
We
need
can,
the
but I
mic.
don't know if the speaker can.
Okay.
Yeah, just pull the speaker closer to you there.
Okay. How we doing now? Good. Okay, so I want to reinforce the fact that it's dangerous for fast-moving large vehicles on that street, because as I was saying, it's not uniformly wide from Route 44 down to the end of Catskill Avenue. As you come in, there's a slight rise, and at the top of the rise, it narrows. And for a fast-moving vehicle and someone unsuspecting, it could be a dangerous situation. The other thing I would like the board to consider is that it is a residential neighborhood. Putting an apartment building destroys that residential neighborhood. A lot of us are concerned that our property values will decrease as a consequence of rezoning that neighborhood from light commercial to whatever it takes to put the apartment building in. So those are my concerns I'd like you guys to consider.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
Evening, Joseph Bombico, 32 Catskill Avenue. I agree with the consensus of the board. That street isn't like they have a street going from the building to Catskill Avenue. They said they have 50 feet. Catskill Avenue isn't 50 feet wide. When they start calling emergency vehicles in there, we all know what happens. They're going to be, like you said, trucks, ambulances, everything else, and that road is going to be just completely blocked off to anything. It's just not feasible. If they're so concerned about people walking on the rail path there, paint the building. It'll look nice. You know, I mean, why go through all this and disrupt everything, you know, for a few extra bucks, basically. 27 units, you got at least 54 cars. Sometimes there's 4 or 5 people in a unit. That's a big development, 27 units. I don't know how they're figuring it. It all sounds good when they do their drawings and everything, but I don't agree with it at all. Just letting you know
Thank you.
how I feel.
No, thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak before Wayne starts? Yeah, come on up.
I was just wondering.
And your name?
I'm sorry, Fanny Tillimos. Fanny Tillimos. I'm right next to the property that they want to build the road. My question to you is, why did we not receive any sort of information that this was happening tonight?
This is the very beginning process. It doesn't even get to, they're not here to rezone.
Okay.
He's here to present his case to the
Okay.
board, to even bring up
Oh,
for
okay.
discussion. This is the very beginning. He was here one meeting about 6 months ago, and he was just come back to discuss the presentation. If he was actually to come in and apply for a zoning change,
Oh, okay.
you would all be notified. This is just the very beginning stages, to let the board members know, and he can get the feeling from the board members
Oh,
of where it goes. Yeah,
I'm
that's why
sorry.
you weren't notified.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
It's a,
no.
Yeah, the adjacent
New
property owners
experience.
would have been
No,
notified.
but, you know, the
Okay.
fact that you
No,
did
I
find out, you
understand.
knew, and you came in now, and you can voice your opinion is a great thing. Yeah.
okay, I appreciate it. That really was my question.
No.
I was very interested in why we didn't receive
Yeah.
anything, but I understand that. That makes a
No.
lot
If
of
you ever
sense.
get any questions, you feel something's going on, you happen to see or hear, feel free to call
Absolutely.
my office or reach out to your council person, and they'll fill you in if you're missing something or something
Okay.
going forward.
Very good. Outstanding. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Great
If I
night.
could just add, I appreciate the fact that you came out on a Wednesday night for this, because it's important that we hear from the people in the town on things like this.
One final thing.
Yeah.
I neglected to mention this. You are all aware, I'm sure, that on Route 44 going east, or going west, there's many new apartment buildings that are going up, and other buildings are being rehabilitated. And if you've gone past Adams, heading up a Route 44, there's a massive housing development. So to put one more in, is it absolutely necessary? Of course, my opinion would be no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No. Wayne, you ready?
Can you see?
No.
Not yet. That's what's going on. I don't think they understood that, otherwise they'd be moving.
Yeah, you all understand tonight, under no circumstances, there's no decision. This is just a very, very beginning process, yeah.
But we welcome you to stay. We'd like to stay for the whole
It
meeting.
may take Wayne that long to get this thing going. Well, you can either watch for the agendas or reach out to your council person, which will be changed, or you can always call my office, because they're in the process of changing over. you know,
Somebody
next
had
couple months.
somebody had left a notice with me that if anything came up on it, and I did call them, so I don't know if she's here. No.
Yeah, they can, you can reach out.
She must have called people, because I only called her, because it's been sticking on my computer since April. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
Judge,
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
well, you can reach out to any one of us.
well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, I know how to clear a room.
You want to just discuss it then?
Why isn't it switched on?
I should have put my best foot on
I
that
have
one.
no
John, how you clear a
I have no
room.
idea.
Joe would have taken that opportunity.
Just give the brief.
Yeah, Wayne, you want to just discuss it, since you can't get that up?
Yeah, and I will.
He's got the photographs that show it, though.
Can't believe this. They won't let, I'm looking at all the pictures that are in the preparation for this, but you guys can't see it?
No,
No.
no,
How about if he calls in? Can he dial in?
no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Go ahead, just start your presentation.
Start.
We already
Yeah.
know what it looks like, so.
The pictures obviously speak the volumes for this thing. Yeah, here we go. What we've got abandoned garbage in the yard. Place has been vacant for over 3 years. There's 2 vehicles which we can't deal with under the building department laws and rules and regulations, but they're there. The building's unsecured, anybody can go inside this thing. Front door is locked, rear door you can't get through. But the downstairs basement on the side, on the south side of the building, there's definitely entry area there. It hasn't been anybody, like I said, for over 3 years in this place, so all of this is just leftovers. The pool in the back is dilapidated. The deck that's with that pool is a danger. That was the original call that we got to go out, was they thought that there was a dead animal in the pool. We didn't find that, but. And if you remember back in like the end of May, beginning of June, we had some pretty severe rains and storms came through. Well, it took down a couple of the larger trees, and they literally lay on the house. It ripped the wires right out. So Central Hudson's been there. They terminated the power to the place, and that's really it. And that's all that this program was going to show you, was what those things look like.
We've heard nothing from the owners of the property? Nothing at all?
Nothing at all, and we went extensively in back history to let everybody know that we were out here looking for, the people. We actually got back the registered notices that we have to send out to do this type of thing. We actually got those back. They were returned by the United States Postal Service as undeliverable, not claimed. So there's nowhere to go with, except to come to you guys and say, we need to do something with it. The trees on the side of the house are what is the immediate danger for me. With the kids being in the neighborhood, and I've spoken to some of the neighbors there that have kids that are certainly concerned about what they're seeing over there, and no progress being taken. The site is already currently being mowed by the town, so it's on its regular schedule. So the front of the yard looks okay that way. At this stage of the game, we think securing all the open doors and windows at a ground level entry point is one. Two, getting the trees, at least get them cut down and on the ground, so that they're not the danger for kids,
Absolutely.
Other than maybe rolling over on top of you, but.
Is anybody paying the property taxes on this?
The taxes were paid up until this year.
Really?
No, excuse me. They weren't. It's this year would be the third year going in that it would have to go to the county.
Yeah, so it should be being seized fairly shortly.
Yeah, they do that. They do that this time of year, right? It's in October or November.
Yeah, it would have been done already.
It would have been done already.
So probably next year.
We haven't seen or heard anything more than this, and we've looked at all the owner possibilities under the Dutchess County Clerk's office.
And
Yeah.
Wayne, it's still in the owner's name. The bank hasn't taken it, correct?
Right.
So they'll probably come in the third year, take, and that's where we get stuck in limbo with these, because you're in the position where you can't go after the bank and the homeowner doesn't answer. So there's nobody in the middle, so we have to do this route.
No, actually, these homeowners may have owned it outright. If they're not paying the
No, there's
taxes,
a bank on that. We've looked, there's a
Okay,
bank in
but-
California.
then why are they not paying? Because if they don't pay the property taxes, the county will come in and seize it and
Yeah,
auction
and
it off.
the
so-
bank will come in and take it at the last minute.
Oh.
What usually happens, the bank comes in the very last minute, the third year, right before the county auctions off, they take it, and then they don't want to take them before they have to. Why put any extra money into them? And this one, I think the bank was in California. We, about a year and a half ago, dug as deep as we could with one of the homeowners across the street to see where we could find out who owned it, but still it's not. So I think we definitely have to move forward.
Oh, we definitely have to move forward regardless.
In order to at least cease the problems, get rid of the garbage that's in the yard, get the trees cut down, get the pool removed, that kind of thing.
But how can we do that? We can't go in and fix their property if they still own it, right?
It isn't
No.
a fix.
No.
No, it's,
we have to
Securing
make
the
it safe.
building is just that. We'll come in and we'll literally board up the building so that it prevents entry from getting onto the inside of it. cutting the tree down, all you're doing is eliminating the danger by doing that. And the pool is the same way. The kids can get access into that pool. So if the pool's gone and the garbage is gone,
Okay. My question is the same time, the last time we had one of these, where we indicate that the property can be demolished. And I don't remember what the exact address was, but I remember saying I'd like to see the date in the resolution so that it's publicly known that as of this date, we can demolish the building.
We're not looking to demolish the building.
We're not looking to
No, we're
demolish
looking,
it.
not
we're
looking
looking to
for
take the
that.
trees down, clean the yard up, and take care of the pool.
It says to authorize to repair or demolish.
Demolish, could be the pool, could be the deck, not necessarily demolish, it doesn't say demolish the building. Demolish
Okay,
and remove.
and then we put a lien on the taxes for the money that it
Yeah.
Correct.
costs to fix it.
Yeah.
Okay, and if still nothing happens, we just leave it like that? Does it come a point in time where we demolish it?
When it gets bad enough, yeah.
Okay.
Now, you did say that this has been going on for 3 years, and you said when those trees came down, they shut the power off, so the power was on at this house all this time?
and apparently it was.
Okay.
Up until that point. When the tree came down, it took everything with it.
And the water's been turned off, Wayne?
The town water has been turned off.
Okay. All right, thanks, Wayne.
Does anybody else from the public want to speak on this?
Yes, I do.
I thought so. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Susan Canning. I live on 39 Skyview Drive in the same neighborhood. And that property has been abandoned for more than 3 years. So I didn't hear the beginning of this discussion. I mean, I've been just following this, last meeting and this meeting. But I have been calling the town and complaining for years. And they said they couldn't do anything until the bank took it over, but they had a bank on record. So I'm just wondering, is there a disconnect somewhere with the bank? Because they had a bank on record at least 2 to 3 years ago when I last, spoke to the town.
When we looked, it was, still has a homeowner, there's a mortgage on it, but the bank won't take responsibility until they actually take the building from the person. So it does, there is a disconnect between the owner
Yes.
abandoning it and the bank taking it over. There is,
Okay.
there is definitely a
'Cause I-
disconnect, yeah.
Because, this is really a hazard. We walk past there every day, and when he says garbage, we're talking huge amounts of trash, equipment, cars, like he said. I mean, it's really bad. And I am worried that I'm sure there's animals in that house. It's definitely a hazard. When the tree came down, I mean, we just laughed because that was just, it made it even more pathetic. So I definitely would push for something to be done. I don't know what you can do, but I just find it hard to believe the bank hasn't stepped in yet.
Yeah, I don't know
Anyway,
why-
anything you could do that's really a detriment to the neighborhood.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to discuss this one?
Anybody else that wants to speak about this item?
If not, make the motion to close this public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chuck?
Whereas by resolution 1020, number 4 of 2021, adopted on October 20, 2021, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie has determined that the premises and the buildings located at 6 Lafco Drive, Poughkeepsie, County of Dutchess, State of New York, Mayor Grid number 6262-04970462, the owner of the record being Velma D. and Melinda D. Cologne, joint tenants with right of survivorship, are dangerous, unsafe, and dilapidated, and an imminent threat to the general public. And whereas the town board has adopted the building department's unsafe building investigation report regarding the premises and directed the issuance of an order and notice requiring the demolition or repair of the premises and the setting of a public hearing regarding the orders and notice. And whereas said order and notice of the public hearing has been served and posted, which orders included a direction that the required work begin immediately and must be commenced not later than 30 days from service of the order of the notice and be completed no later than 60 days thereafter, and gave further notice that on failure to timely comply, the town board is authorized to repair or demolish and remove the building, or to seek an injunction to compel the owner to do so, and assesses the expense thereof against the premises as a special ad valorem levy under Town Law Article 15, and to institute a proceeding to collect the expenses of such work, and whereas the town of Poughkeepsie has, in the order and notice, reserved its right to proceed more rapidly with the remediation of this site if it is required pursuant to Town Code 71-12, and whereas the legal notice of the public hearing was posted on October 27, 2021, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on November 1st, 2021, and whereas said public hearing has been held this day, now therefore be resolved that in the event that the owner has not timely commenced or completed the repairs or demolition, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie authorizes and directs the building department to demolish and remove the building by town employees or by the reasonable contractor making the lowest price proposal to the town consistent with Town Code 71-10, and to thereafter assesses against the premises and levy and collect the expenses of the same as provided in Article 15 of the town law for the levy and collection of a special ad valorem levy, and be it further resolved that this work is an enforcement proceeding and is therefore a type 2 action which is exempt from the environmental review under 6 NYCRR 617.5 C29. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution number 2.
Nope. Public hearing number 2.
Public
I'd like
hearing.
to make a motion to open public hearing number 2.
So moved.
On the community development block grant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here to discuss public hearing number 2 on a community development block grant? Anybody?
I don't see anybody with their hand raised.
Make a motion, before we close public hearing number 2, in discussion through town hall, we discussed with a lot of department heads what we thought would be a good project for a community development block grant. And after talking to engineering and the highway department, we're looking to do about 150, 200 feet of Jones Street. The sidewalks are in terrible shape, and it falls under a community development block grant map on that side of the street, so it's a project that we think we could definitely get. Make a motion to close public hearing number 2. If there's no other
Second.
comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Carlos.
Now you're ready.
A resolution authorizing the submission of the fiscal year 2022 Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant Program application. Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie is participating in the Dutchess County Community Development Consortium for the fiscal year 2022, and whereas input from citizens and groups has been received and considered, and whereas an application is being prepared that addresses our community's concerns, and whereas that legal notice of public hearing was posted on October 28, 2021, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on November 1st, 2021, and now therefore be it resolved that the submission of said application to Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development be and is hereby authorized. And be it further resolved that the town board authorizes the supervisor or his designee to execute all papers necessary and proper to effectuate the acceptance of this grant. And be it further resolved that the work involved is part of the town's ongoing administration as a type 2 action requiring no secret review. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our public hearings. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any item on the agenda. This is a time, if anybody would like to speak on any item that's on tonight's agenda, please speak, and please ask that you limit it to 3 minutes. Make a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here to discuss any item that's on the agenda?
Doreen?
Go ahead, Doreen.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Yeah, Jay, I have a question about agenda item 12. I had sent you an email earlier, like it's about 5:30. The It said documents to follow for 12A and 12B for SPAC and kill bonding DEC order. But those documents weren't posted. So could you briefly say what those two documents contained?
Yeah, A is the grant application, and secret is, it's a secret form filled out. During that whole thing is for redoing Spack and Kill pump station, and all four of these resolutions are there so we can apply for the grant. It's not to go out to actually borrow the money at this point. It's in order to apply for a WIA grant for the Spack and Kill pump station, which is also under a DEC consent order to replace, remove it out of wetlands. So all four of these are in relation to that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else? Ma'am?
Michelle?
Ma'am?
There's more than one item that I wanted to speak about, so it's on 9, and there are two issues on 9 as well as 11, the HDR, the interest in HDR and hiring Michael Musso, PE. So on number 9, the plant odor control project, I didn't really look deeply into it, but what caught my eye was the fact that there's an aspect of it that calls itself proprietary. And so I'm wondering, with regard to the wood chips, because wood chips are going to be used, is this a reclaiming kind of situation, a recycling kind of situation?
No, this is basically, they blow the wood chip, they blow the air from the clarifiers into the pile of wood chips, and it mitigates the possible smells.
Okay, so the question is, is our water supply going to have contact
No.
with these wood chips?
No,
Not at all?
no.
Okay.
They're put into a pit and they're hauled out when they're done.
Okay.
The process down there is they recycle wood chips, they use them and they mulch them. It's a different kind of sewer system down there.
All right, because, there are some wood chips that have some very deleterious contamination in them, between, as you probably, I don't need to tell you guys, you know about this, formaldehyde and things like that on reclaimed wood. I mean, you wonder if that gets airborne and if that's going to have any impact on, I was told to watch the water.
No, these are clean wood chips.
Clean, and how do we know that they're clean?
They bring them in from contractors. When this project is done, this project isn't even come to fruition yet.
Mhm.
It may change if there's a better process to do.
Yeah, so I
engineers make it
I
look
know a
better.
little bit about contractors and the kind of mess they have to deal with when it comes to remediation work and materials and soils, and so, yeah, I would ask the board to carefully look at these wood chips and what are the source of these wood chips and where are they coming from, what have they had contact with, asbestos and all kinds of contaminants. So, yeah, I mean, it's all great, if we're climate smart and everything, we're thinking about reclaiming and reuse of materials, but we have to know, what's in those materials as we reuse. Okay, so yeah, that's where I'm coming from on that. The other item was having to do with water meter replacement or placement, water meter placement project. Basically, if we're gonna implement smart metering,
No, this is not smart metering.
okay,
These are-
great. What is
These are
it?
major meters for the town system, and we're just replacing our major meters. This is not individual homeowners or anything along that line.
Okay, so are they smart meters, Jay?
No, not this time. no.
They're not. So they're analog of
Yep,
some
they're
kind.
Analog meters. These are our
That's-
major
that's
36-inch
brilliant.
mains.
That's brilliant, because I know as a climate smart, all those climate smart initiatives, there's a lot of sidestepping of, unfortunately, the technology that we have right now, which, it comes with RF microwave radiation, and homeowners don't know it, and Central Hudson's already doing that to a large portion of our community when it comes to utility metering, and people do not have informed consent on that technology, and some of them are actually sleeping with their heads near these smart meters. And I mean, if you have questions about that, you get Steve Romine from Woodstock to come here and talk about smart metering and what that's all about, and I'm sure he'd be happy to come in. He's made some strides there that are, countrywide, that people know about it now. And the last point, and I don't know if we're on that yet, or is this comment period is for everything that's on the list, is that right?
Everything's on the agenda.
Okay, so I made sure that everybody, or I hope Sonia helped me out here, has the checklist for municipal codes addressing small cell installations. It's like a beautiful cheat sheet for how our zoning board can apply these codes, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them that will really prepare our town for what is coming, which is Biden's big broadband infrastructure, $1 trillion kind of thing, where wireless is going to be coming in a kind of a predatory fashion and trying to put up a mesh network basically, and New York City's having a hell of a time right now. But so what I was saying was this checklist, if we just implement these, and communities have paid a lot of money to get these checklists and implement them, but I have sent this checklist to you, to the ZBA, so that, it's like, wow, if we just do this, that will go such a huge distance, and you won't have to be recreating the wheel and fighting each individual application, which is going to be unmanageable. I would not want that job to sit and review applications one by one. So I'd be happy to reread those, but I know that the Zoning Board of Appeals, I don't know if the COW got the full list, but Jay, you have it, and please make sure that's shared. But the last point is having to do with Mr. Michael Musso, who is a very accomplished man. Reading his resume was very impressed with him. The problem I had though was that his experience seems to be heavy on the dealing with contaminants and remediation. I didn't see so much as his interest in taking pre-existing conditions and measurements, and I didn't see much of that. And when I read the Hudson, New York presentation that he did for them, it basically came down to, this location is right, and this is why it's right, and there was no drive test that was done, and there were just some things missing, and it led him to a conclusion that I'm sure Verizon was very pleased about. And I know he does not represent, or he says he did not represent wireless companies, so that's good. But the question is, what does he do? So I had several points. There are 16 questions that I really wanted the board to make sure that they asked Mr. Musso, because once getting the insight from the answers to those questions, we would know whether he would be protective. And they go something like this. Is he aware of the reason for the landmark ruling by the court?
You emailed that to me,
I
right?
did.
And I emailed that to the board.
Right. And where will those questions be in terms of public record, so that when the public views this, they could also see the questions that really the board should be asking this very experienced RF engineer?
The RF engineer is being hired by the zoning board, first of all.
Okay.
Town board.
So the COW has nothing to do with who's hired by the zoning board?
Who are you referring to as a COW?
The Council of the Whole.
That was the meeting we had
No, that's
before
the
this.
meeting. This is the town board. Sorry.
Oh.
It's called the committee of the whole meeting.
Committee of the
Okay.
whole meeting,
Yeah.
there's no voting ever.
Okay, there's no
Just so you
voting.
know.
All right, so that's great. Has anybody seen that list of questions?
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
And,
Michelle, could you wrap it up too?
and would the council of the whole at all be interested in those questions? You have them?
I emailed them, I emailed the whole board.
Thank you very much, Felicia. Thank you very much. So there we go. The RF engineer, as I said, looks really, really accomplished, but whether he's going to actually be protective is something completely different. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I'm the last person here, yes?
No.
No, okay. Uh-oh, let me go. All right, thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to
Speak on any agenda
on the
item?
agenda? If not, motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie Town Clerk has received the annexed notification from the Office of the New York State Comptroller that has approved the establishment of Hudson Heritage Sewer District, and whereas the town clerk has advised that on November 9th, 2021, she formally acknowledged receipt of the approval to the State Comptroller, maintains the approval in her office, and this day presented copies of it to this town board. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board, town of Poughkeepsie acknowledges receipt of the 17th day of November 2021 of a copy of annexed approval from the Office of the State Comptroller dated November 8th, 2021 pursuant to New York Town Law Section 194 sub 4. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a storm water management facility inspection, maintenance, easement, sidewalk maintenance agreement, site distance maintenance agreement, declaration of grant of sightline and maintenance easement, and stormwater management facility inspection and maintenance agreement, and any supporting documents regarding the project known as built parcel 3 in substantially the form attached, and be it resolved that such authorization by the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie is subject to the approval of all final documents by the town attorney, planning board attorney, town engineer, and the director of municipal development for the town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a grant of permanent water easement with IBM Corp. and any supporting recording documents in regard to real property known as 2455 South Road, Town of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, New York, in substantially the form attached, and be further resolved that such acceptance and authorization by the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie is subject to the approval of all final documents by the town attorney, planning board attorney, town engineer, and the director of municipal development for the town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the town board of town of Poughkeepsie is hereby approve the rollover of 6 days of unused 2021 vacation time to 2022 for Chief Kevin Faber, with the understanding that these days will be used by March 31st, 2022. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby reappoint Susan Carnes Heck to the chair position on the town of Poughkeepsie Climate Smart Task Force, and reappoint Catherine Espinoza, Stanley Merritt, Joan Freeman, Richard Levine, Ann Shershin Liaison, and Kristen Taylor Liaison, which appointments will expire on July 10th, 2023. So moved.
Second.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say the task force has done a great job. In their first 2 years, they got us up to the bronze level certification. And there's about 300 so registered communities in the state, and about 80 of them have reached, certification level. So we're doing really well.
I have a question. Are all these terms expiring right now?
They all expired.
They all expired?
They all expired in June.
Shouldn't they, should we stagger them?
This is only a committee. This isn't
It's a task force, it's not really a committee.
Yeah, it's not a regular committee. They can be disbanded at any time if the town decides that they're done with the climate smart, they want to move on a different direction or put it back to CAC. It could be disbanded another time.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution number 8. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the settlement of the tax certiorari proceeding instituted by Underhill Solar LLC for a solar farm located on Underhill Road in the town of Poughkeepsie, New York. Lot number 134-689-6260-01-2703-535-0001 for the 2019 and 2020 tax assessment rolls as shown on the attached consent judgment. And be it further resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee, town assessor Jennifer Mund and Kyle Barnett of the Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP, excuse me, to sign such papers as necessary to effectuate said settlement. So moved.
Second.
Jim, I got one question. On the second page, that is a mistake where it says Hyde Park and Hyde Park? Unless somebody else's. This property doesn't go into two different towns, right? It's right at the tip. Is that just a mistake that Hyde Park was put in there?
Well, they all indicate that it's Hyde Park.
Maybe we should send this over to Hyde Park then.
That does border that, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's Arlington.
It says at the top, town of Poughkeepsie tax certiorari refund liability.
And this is the solar farm,
Yeah.
so I think it's just the wrong
They mean
town.
Hyde Park Schools?
The bottom says Hyde Park School, but I think they typed
Right.
in Hyde Park and Hyde Park on the top
Right.
piece.
So your modification of the order is to reflect the fact that the local taxes are for the town of Poughkeepsie,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the County of Dutchess has implemented a municipal investment grant program to allocate funds to eligible municipalities for wastewater treatment plan odor control. Whereas the County of Dutchess has authorized the town of Poughkeepsie to receive payment of this grant award in the amount not to exceed $129,015 as part of said payment. The town of Poughkeepsie is required to execute an agreement with the County of Dutchess. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board, town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute the attached agreement with the County of Dutchess in substantially the form as presented. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the County of Dutchess has implemented a municipal investment grant program to allocate funds to eligible municipalities for joint water meter replacement, whereas the County of Dutchess has authorized the town of Poughkeepsie to receive payment of this grant award in the amount not to exceed $147,400, and as part of said payment, the town of Poughkeepsie is required to execute the agreement with the County of Dutchess. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute the attached agreement with the County of Dutchess in substantially the same form as presented. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the County of Dutchess has implemented a municipal investment grant program to allocate funds to the eligible municipalities for portable emergency generators with light towers. Whereas the County of Dutchess has authorized the town of Poughkeepsie to receive payment of this grant award in the amount not to exceed $31,000, and has, as part of said payment, the town of Poughkeepsie is required to execute an agreement with the Dutchess County. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute the attached agreement with the County of Dutchess in substantially the form as presented. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. The only comment is that these three grants are municipal innovation grant that used to be our shared service grant with the county that changed. I want to thank the police department for this one, Tommy in the water department, and working with Dutchess County Water and Wastewater in the city of Poughkeepsie on the metering one, and all the members of Tri-Municipal, which is the Village of Wappingers, the Town of Wappingers as a tenant, and the Town of Poughkeepsie, which Jeff sits on that board. Thank everybody involved for actually truly understanding what a municipal innovation grant should mean, and this should definitely help us moving forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Number 10, refer to legal. Number 11, whereas Verizon Wireless has applied for a use variance from the ZBA to allow the construction of a wireless communications facility, commonly referred to as a small cell tower, on the roof of an existing building at 9 to 11 Raymond Avenue in the town of Poughkeepsie. And whereas in order to properly evaluate the project, the ZBA will require specialized analytical services, and whereas Henningsen, Durham, and Richardson Architect and Engineering, PC, HDR, has proposed to perform those services at the rate noted at the attached staff roster and rates, plus reasonable disbursements to be paid out of the applicant's escrow. Now therefore be resolved that contracting for these professional services is type 2 action requiring no secret review. Be it further resolved, the town board is hereby authorizes ZBA to contract with HDR for it and the planning board to do so in the future for small cell valuations on terms, which include insurance coverage consistent with the town's standard requirements, as well as such additional terms and conditions as supervisor may request after consulting with the planning, legal, and engineering departments. So moved.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any questions now?
What's 911 Road, or Raymond Avenue? What is that?
I don't know off the top of my head. I thought it was MD Imaging. I could be wrong.
Okay. Nope.
No.
It's the Bank of America building?
Bank of
Okay.
America building.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, because I
Alright,
know it's the
thanks.
other end.
Yeah.
Right next to Hurricane.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
And
All
that's
those in
tall.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6.
Mike just appeared there with the answer. It's kind of nice.
That works.
Authorizing the town supervisor to apply for a grant to the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, EFC, under the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act. Whereas the Environmental Facilities Corporation is soliciting applications through the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act for clean and drinking water improvement projects. And whereas the town of Poughkeepsie has identifiable needs to conduct infrastructure improvements to the pump station at Spanish Hill Road, and whereas it is anticipated that costs for all work associated with conducting these improvements will not exceed $7,334,000, and whereas the town of Poughkeepsie is requesting $1,833,500 in grant funding through the WHA program, with its committed 75% grant match of $5,500,500 from incurred debt. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Poughkeepsie Town Board does hereby authorize town supervisor to submit an application to the Environmental Facilities Corporation through the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant program to fund necessary infrastructure improvements to the pump station at Spanish Hill Road, and to execute any formal agreements and associated documents with the EFC as part of the funding agreement. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 12B, Arlington Sewer Improvement Area 2, Spackenkill Pump Station, Sika. Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie, hereinafter town, owns and operates the Spackenkill Pump Station, the station, which wastewater station as well as its equipment, pursuance, property interest and improvements are in need of repair and replacement. And whereas the town is a party subject to the New York State DEC consent order, case number R3-2014-1002-142, annexed here to at Exhibit 1, the consent order, whereby the town is required to undertake and complete certain repairs, replacements, and improvements to the station, as specified in the consent order and in the Schedule A thereto. And whereas in order to assure compliance with the consent order, the town has this day authorized resolution number 1117, number 12A of 2021, an application for a New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation WIIA program grant of $1,833,500, which is proposed to be combined with a 75% grant matching of $5,500,500 from incurred debt, and further intends this day to propose the establishment of the Arlington Sewer Improvement Area 2 in the town of Poughkeepsie, and to call a public hearing on December 8th, 2021 regarding its establishment. Now therefore be it resolved that because it is required by the DEC consent order annexed here to as Exhibit 1, the performance of the work at the station, which is proposed to be funded by the EFC grant and incurred debt, is a Type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act Regulation 6 NYCRR 617.5 sub C sub 35. which will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and no secret review is required. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
At a regular meeting of the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, New York, held at Town Hall in Poughkeepsie, New York, in said Town Hall on November 17th, 2021, at 7:00 p.m. prevailing time. The meeting was called to order by Supervisor Baisley, and upon roll call being called, the following were present: Councilman Renahan, Councilman Carlos, Councilman Safon, Councilman Krakauer, Councilwoman Shershin, Supervisor Baisley, absent Councilwoman Lopez. The following resolution, which is attached as Exhibit A hereto, is incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said resolution and does direct that said resolution be spread across the record as if it, in fact, had been read verbatim. It was offered by Councilman Safon, who moved its adoption, seconded by,
Second.
I'll say Carlos.
Oh, I beat it.
It was so close. And the following resolution was duly put to a vote, which resulted as follows. Councilman Renahan,
Aye.
Councilman Carlos,
Aye.
aye. Councilwoman Lopez is absent. Councilman Safon, aye. Councilman Krakauer,
Aye.
Councilwoman Shershin,
Aye.
and Supervisor Bailey, sorry.
Aye.
Hired.
6-1, or 6-0, passed. Please don't let me do that again.
Do you have to read that whole thing?
No.
No, no, we wrote it the right way this
We
time.
wrote it this.
At a regular meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, New York, held at the Town Hall in Poughkeepsie, New York, in said town on November 17th, 2021, at 7:00 p.m. prevailing time. The meeting was called to order by Supervisor Baisley, and upon roll being called, the following were present: Councilman Renahan, Councilman Carlos, Supervisor Baisley, Councilman Safon, Councilwoman Shershin, Councilman Krakauer. Absent would be Councilwoman Lopez. The following resolution, which is attached as Exhibit A hereto, is incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said resolution to direct that said resolution be spread across record as if it in fact had been read verbatim, and was offered by Councilman Krakauer, who moved its adoption, seconded by,
Councilman Safon, second.
anybody else want to second it? Fine, Councilman Safon. And the following resolution was duly put to a vote, which resulted as follows. Let me do it, you want to do it?
I'll do it.
All right.
Jeff Renahan,
Aye.
Bill Carlos,
Aye.
Michael Safon.
Aye.
Stefan Krakauer.
Aye.
Ann Shershin.
Aye.
And John J. Baisley.
Aye.
The resolution thereon declared was duly adopted.
Can you please sign this and pass it in? Thank you very much.
It's teamwork.
So we're done with that? Okay. Be it resolved,
I
the
just
town...
wanted to mention that that there was 85 pages of the people that will be involved in that sewer district that I did not copy you guys. It is available on the website if you'd like to
Thank you.
browse through it. Go ahead, Ann.
Okay. Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items to wit. Appoint Joseph Metatrano,
Matranda.
MEO Highway Department, and appoint Jason Calabre?
Caridi.
Good, Calabre. MEO Highway Department. And be further resolved that upon objection of any member of the town board, any item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby appoint Joseph Matrando to the position of full-time motor equipment operator at the Town Highway Department at a salary of $21.50 per hour, effective Monday, November 8th, 2021, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 and more than 26 weeks per civil service law. Be it further resolved that the Town Supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Jason Caridi to the position of full-time motor equipment operator with the Town of Poughkeepsie Department, Highway Department, at the salary of $21.50 per hour, effective Monday, November 22nd, 2021, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks for civil service law. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second. Motion second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our town board meeting. I'd like to make a motion to suspend rules for any item at all discussing the town.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ask anybody to speak, this wants to speak, please limit it to 3 minutes.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I just noticed, truthfully, I didn't get a chance to read all the things this week, but there's some stuff there that you guys did for Tinkelman's project. And I was wondering if somebody could reach out to mention that the parking lot area that's across from my house, there's still silt fence, I guess it's had, from that, that's still up, and it's just a darn mess.
Alright.
So I don't know if people up there are throwing stuff overboard, or, but that really should be removed.
All right.
That's all.
Sir, come on up.
I have mentioned.
Good evening. My name is Russell DeMarco.
Did you say Russell DeMarco?
Yes. I am here tonight over this trampoline. I have been waiting for over a year for corrective action to be taken to this trampoline. I have drawn in the property lines here. You can see that it is about a foot away from the side lot, 6 feet away from my property line. The law states that it needs to be 10 feet back from my property line, 10 feet in from both the rear and side.
Where do
I
you
don't
live,
know.
sir?
I'm sorry?
Where do you live?
Vanderwater Avenue.
Okay.
I don't know if you could see it from there. There are bricks underneath this thing. There's a tree stump underneath this thing. This is, the zoning board has cleared this. They have decided that they're going to move, they're just going to enforce 6 feet back from my property line. This is legal as far as the zoning board. I cannot get any more action from them. And I would like proper enforcement from this. They've asked me to get a new survey, which I spent $1,500 to do, to clear up the property line. The property line was already there, but they wanted to see it. $1,500. But I cannot get them to move on this. This is 12 feet from my house. My neighbor has an entire other section of his yard that he could put this trampoline. If you took a closer look,
Do you want me to
this
get that
trampoline
so
is
you can look
propped
at it?
up on a board because it's on a hill. It's dangerous. It is a dangerous structure. It has a hole in the actual jumping part. I'm just waiting for a kid to come flying off of this thing and land in a heap in my yard.
Do people use it, or?
Yes, daily,
Oh.
daily. Unsupervised, many children at a time. This isn't just sitting here, this is used daily. I have probably 40 emails back and forth between the zoning board to get this resolved. This is the level to which the administrators have deemed this applicable to the law.
Was there a variance granted for that?
The variance was given by the administrators. There is no variance for this.
It's just considered a temporary piece of equipment.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I'm wondering.
Under the definition of structures, it's different. And actually, it says playhouses in there. I don't know. I mean, this is something where kids go flying into the air. Now, I understand it's temporary structure, but this is made to have kids flying through the air. This can be, what, right up against my property line? What happens when a child flies into my property from this? This is 15 feet wide, so a shed under 21048 can be 6 feet from the property line, both from the rear and the side. This is 15 feet around.
We don't have anything specific that in our code, I'm waiting for Mike Welty to reappear on the screen. We don't have anything specific in our code that we don't have any law in the books regarding trampolines, I'm guessing, do we? And then my follow-up question is, do other municipalities?
I'm not aware of anything on our books that would, be specific to a trampoline. Haven't looked into whether other communities do. This is actually the first time I've heard of this, so I can follow up a little bit tomorrow with the zoning department.
Would this be considered a structure?
I don't believe so, but again, I don't want to, without having done any research on it, I don't want to say for sure, so I'll have to look into it.
All right, so I just have to, honestly, I was hit with the same violation as I had a yard tent. Everyone knows what those are, right? The little garages. I was forced to remove that garage for this same violation. Now, seems to me that they're both made with pipes and fabric, and there you go. Pretty temporary. You can move one of those around real easy. I was actually forced to destroy it because my yard is only 35 feet wide. So I could not put that within 10 feet of any property line. So I was forced to remove it completely from my yard, which then destroyed it because it ripped as I tried to take it apart. This is then, I'll be honest with you, that violation occurred and was cleared the day before I filed this one. So we're looking at the same thing. We're looking at the same zoning administrators, which told me, your yard tent has to go. And I said, I got a trampoline right here, but my neighbor is worried about this yard tent. I'm worried about kids getting killed in my property. I don't know if you could see this. We're talking about bricks here. We're talking about stumps. It was actually right up against that tree, right in the corner of my property.
So that neighbor called the zoning department about your tent?
That is correct. And the zoning department came and hit me with a 21048 accessory structure, and I was forced to remove it because I had no property line or no place to put it where it would not be up against the property line. I actually even live next to the arterial, but apparently the state would have been an interested party if I moved it against that property line, against the arterial. So I had to destroy it. It's my only option. Or get an appeal, which would have cost me $250 to get an appeal. All I'm asking is, if I have to destroy a yard tent, why do I have to have this here? As I said, he doesn't even need to destroy it. Just put it over there. Why are we going to have this here? I'm not the only interested party. I have another neighbor. He owns the side yard. It's even closer to his property now.
Mike, did you say you're going to look into it tomorrow?
Yeah, I can look into it, yeah. It's, like I said, first time I've heard of it, so we'll look into it.
All right, we'll look in to see what the code reads, and if you want to leave your name and number, we'll get back to you.
Sure.
Well, sounds like the zoning department has their his information, so.
Okay.
They absolutely have my information.
Okay.
We've been back and forth with this, as I said, for over a year. I had $1,500 into this because the zoning department told me I needed to get a new survey for this. There were two structures involved. The other structure was a 21-foot long, 16-foot wide, 16-foot high wooden playhouse. There is now a trampoline, that playhouse structure, and a pool in that property. My concern is it is easily visible from the road, and children from all over the neighborhood can run and come have some fun right next to my property. I got the one moved. It is now 10 feet. The other one is 6 feet. But children run around. Children do not understand the property line. I don't want children in my yard. I don't want them to fall in my yard. You see the debris that was in that picture. It's not my debris, but easily kids can come flying from a trampoline and land into my yard. I don't need the lawsuit. I don't know, again, you're going to look into the law, but maybe there should be a law about a 15-foot trampoline right up against someone's property line. It's, these are dangerous. These are dangerous. But I thank you.
Thank you.
and,
Thank you.
I'll wait for the contact. Thank you.
Anybody else? Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Natalie Carlisle. I'm calling to seek your guidance on who to call about.
Talk into the microphone.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Who to call about a tree that is outside of our house on town property that is shaped kind of like a V, and part of it is dead, and the other part hangs right over our home, right over our roof. Beginning in August, I contacted our ward representative, Ms. Lopez. I emailed her in August, I emailed her in October, and also recently, and none of my emails were returned.
Where do you live?
Vandewater Avenue. I also called Central Hudson, thinking that maybe they would come and remove at least the limb that is hanging over the house, because there are wires that run between the two branches, but they said that because the branches are not touching the wires, that they won't trim the tree. But I see that part of it is dead, and when the wind blows, the boughs kind of like, they move. So I'm a little concerned about the winter coming and the windy weather. So I'm not sure who to contact.
No, we'll look if is in the right of way towards the road, or it's just a vacant piece of town property alongside you.
It's actually a dead-end street, and the tree is right on the end of the dead end.
All right. We'll call the highway department. We'll be one to decide if it's his tree and come out and look at it.
What's your actual
And-
address on Vandewater, Natalie? Number 8.
Yeah. And he'll be out early next week. He's away this week, and we'll
Thank you.
contact him, have him come out.
He's usually here at the meetings, but he is
Yeah.
away. I
Ne-
appreciate that.
just Next week's a short week, just.
Yeah,
He'll
thank
be
you.
out.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no, most likely.
I understand.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I'll call his assistant tomorrow, make sure it's on his list. You might see him sooner than later.
Thank you, Mr. Baisley. Good night.
What? His deputy, not his assistant. Same thing. Right. His deputy.
Doreen, do you have your hand raised? Sorry.
Go ahead, Doreen.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to bring something to your attention about the Arthur May project. So last year in May, you approved the pilot for them. And so as a result of that pilot, they had a 16.3 million total tax exemption. It was sales and mortgage tax exemption and property tax exemption. So you know, part of when you approve pilots, you take job creation into account. That's supposed to be a big part of what the IDA does and why they provide incentives. So at last week's Dutchess County IDA meeting, there was supposed to be a vote to accept changes to this project. Now, at the last minute, they had to pull it because they didn't have a quorum due to conflicts of interest. So it was off the agenda. So what he wants to do now is to remove the 5-story, 110-room hotel that was part of the project, and instead replace the bulk of it with 10 more residential apartments. So I don't see how 10 residential apartments is going to provide job opportunities like the 5-story, 110-room hotel would. And I guess my point is that last year, the board approved the pilot based on a certain set of circumstances in which I believe you would have taken into consideration the job creation numbers. And now the IDA was going to vote on this last week without having input from the board. So regardless of whether you are required by law to get this or not, I would think that the IDA should have brought this to the town board's attention for discussion, since to me there is a significant change in the project since you approved the pilot. So, Jay, I know I did ask you about it, I don't know if it was yesterday or today, and you said you had not yet heard back from Sarah Lee, the CEO of the IDA?
I heard back this afternoon, Doreen. They are
Okay.
re-going over, he's bringing his changes in, taking the hotel out. There is no change to our pilot numbers. We will probably actually end up in the positive, because otherwise, he would have to redo the whole pilot and start all over. He's just going and giving them the change information, but our numbers will stay the same.
What's the commercial component of it at this point then?
There's storefronts in the front, and the school is staying, I think there's,
Yeah, I mean, this
there's-
change saves the Arthur S. May School.
and there's some
and-
businesses in the school.
Yeah, there could be businesses and the ground floor and 2 stories of apartments above, and it's way more apartments than 10. I thought it was like 20, 27,
No.
something like that.
No, it says.
I don't-
There's only 10 or
They're
12.
not gonna demolish.
My honest
No,
opinion
it's in the
is,
school.
for the most part, I don't think a pilot agreement should apply to residential. So I mean, I wasn't around when that was approved, but I don't like the idea of using a pilot for residential development. It's subsidizing either the people who live there, and it's not subsidized housing, or the person building it when it's residential. Unless there's a unique reason, I think there are situations where maybe it would apply.
And I think in this case, one of the unique situations was this could definitely bring the boom to the, Arlington Business District, and the buildings there and the businesses will have a downhill effect of more business and generating, fixing up their properties and so. But the fact that we weren't notified, I reached out to her, and he would have to go back and start from scratch. And I agree, Stefan, not every project, just because it's housing, should qualify, because it has to be unique, it has to be something special to offer. I've always thought Arthur S. May School was something special. I don't like the fact that the school is behind the building. I would prefer it still been in the front of the building for the amount that we're getting. And not have the hotel is bad, but the fact that they're saving the school and they're looking to put the bottom, I think it's a floor or floor and a half of business is something a little different and unique.
So
Well,
as-
Jay, can I interrupt here? It does say that a portion of the hotel will be demolished. And the other thing that I think is disingenuous is he says, we're not proposing any changes to our proposed employment projections. Well, how do you remove a 5-story, 110-room hotel and not change the job projections when you're only adding a very small portion of commercial space to it? So,
Doreen, you said a portion of the hotel. Did you mean a portion of the Arthur S. May building?
I'm sorry. It says, the rear section of the school will be demolished.
The additions on
The old
back
piece,
are
the
going.
addition in the back, not the
Yeah,
old piece,
additions
but
on
the newer
back are
piece in
being
the back.
taken out.
Okay.
So, wait a second. The hotel is no longer part of the program?
No,
That's right. They're saving
And
the
the
school.
IDA made the decision to support the pilot because of the jobs being created by the hotel.
one of the reasons.
That's
Is
only
that
part
was one of the
it.
reasons?
It's only
Okay,
part.
so-
And the town board approved the pilot. And again, you can, normally, a big portion of it is job creation.
Okay, so I sometimes, I'm from Rio Linda, I gotta go slow. If the pilot was approved with a hotel that was gonna create jobs, and the hotel is now not in it, and the jobs are not in it, how can the thing still be valid?
He's coming in with changes tomorrow.
Okay, but they're not gonna deny the IDA. I think that's an important change.
I do think things like that should come back in front of the town board. I mean, if they ask us for our input on the front end, and there's a significant change, it probably should come back. in
He
front of the
has
town
come
board.
before the town board, and
No,
we
no,
were
that's
aware
a
of it.
hotel.
This is the first I heard of the hotel being removed from the plan, and the
I thought
jobs
he
that the
was
hotel
here.
were created
No.
are
I thought
out.
he was here and showed us that. I'm pretty
The
sure.
hotel's been out for a while.
And
Yeah.
Jay,
The planning board approved the planning board approved those changes quite a while ago.
But I don't-
The
Removal of the
hotel has
hotel.
been out,
Yeah.
the hotel has been out for quite a long time. I don't,
Well, but-
I don't know the IDA rules about when it has to come back
Well, hang on a
to the
second.
town
The
board,
statement
but-
by Ann was that he was back in front of the town board
I thought he was
about that.
before the town board and talked to us about that.
Since I've been back on the town board, the only time I saw the applicant here was when he was asking for a 50% cut in his recreation fee. I don't recall seeing the applicant any other time. Maybe he was, I might be wrong. The only meeting I missed was when I was out of town last week for a funeral. So I might be wrong, but I kind of think Ann might be wrong.
And Jay, can I say, was it you? I'm sorry. Did you say he was coming in for changes tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was, he was on the agenda, the next
Okay.
meeting, Doreen. I may have the day wrong, but I thought,
No, okay, I just want to tell you that today, we contacted the IDA because the meeting was on their website and then it disappeared. So, contacted Sarah Lee and she said, no, the meeting for tomorrow has been pulled because again, they weren't going to have a quorum. So he will not be going before the IDA tomorrow.
okay.
So bottom line is, you know, when you make a decision, I mean, the town board approved this pilot. And then when something like that changes, and then the IDA then gets to, you know, give their stamp of approval, I think that's wrong.
Kind of seems that way.
Well,
The discussion I had with him today was, you know, the fact that Doreen, you probably know this better than I do, but it was originally was like only 9 or 10 jobs created, which we'll probably end up seeing more jobs in this building than we would have saw in the hotel, because I couldn't understand why there was only 10 jobs
okay,
located.
it was
in the hotel.
12.
Yeah,
The initial application said 12, and I questioned that myself. I said,
remember.
how are you going to have a hotel that's 110 rooms and only employ 12 people? And my hypothesis for saying that it was only 12 was that if he did not, again, this is speculation on my part, but if he did not create those 12 jobs, if he said he was going to create 20 jobs and he didn't create them, well, then he's subject to a recapture or clawback provision
Yeah.
under the IDA rules, meaning if you don't meet your job projections, because that's what the IDA, you know, really is supposed to be taking into account, is job creation. So if you don't meet your estimated job projections, then you're subject to a recapture or clawback provision of your benefits. So me personally, my opinion was that he probably estimated a low job number. So in case he didn't meet it, he wouldn't be subject to the clawback recapture provisions.
agreed.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I don't think he came back. I don't have any recollection of him being in front of this board in the past year and a half, talking about taking the hotel out. Maybe it was a planning board, but Ann said
No, I saw
Ann
him,
said
he
was
presented
this board.
in front of the Arlington Business District multiple times.
Yeah, but not before the town
No,
board, I don't
correct.
believe.
Yeah, I don't remember ever hearing the hotel not coming in.
The hotel was out and they went into the factor of redoing the school and saving the school.
Well, since the IDA meeting for tomorrow is canceled, if the town board wanted to, they could ask for a presentation from him before the IDA approves it.
Okay. Anything else?
I
Anything else?
don't think it's a bad idea.
Thanks, Doreen.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Doreen.
Anybody else? Michelle?
Thank you. I didn't have enough time to have my final remarks here. I had a question, and it had to do with the money that would, or the fees, $4,000 or whatever it is, that would be paid to the PE, Michael Musso. Is that being held in escrow by the applicant, who is Verizon?
I think so.
Yeah, the resolution said that it would be paid out of the escrow.
Yep.
Right. So, and again, I don't know deeply about this kind of thing, but how does that ensure against conflict of interest issues.
They're just paying the bill. We're the one that hired the person. They don't get to hire, they don't get to choose. Just their project. We shouldn't be expending dollars to work on their project. So we hold money in escrow for engineering fees and other fees.
We as in
The town.
Verizon?
The town.
No, the town.
Okay, so Verizon does not hold the
No,
fees?
the town planning department. holds
Okay,
the
and
escrow.
Verizon has nothing to do with his fees?
No.
Is that right?
Just pay the bill.
They pay it to the
They
town.
put the money into the escrow account and then we pay it out of that.
Okay, and Mike, Mr. Russo's fee would also be in that same escrow
Yep.
account, the very same one?
The escrow account would be for all the fees that the planning department needed. If
Okay.
they felt they need $2,000, $3,000, $4,000
Okay.
for all the fees, it all goes in there.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm really concerned about conflict of interest based on the way Mr. Musso did his Hudson, New York presentation. But, okay, so here's the thing. If he's not asked the pointed questions, and you guys have already mentioned that he is being hired, and without gathering proper insight from his responses, especially taking pre-existing measurements of RF microwave radiation in that location in light of the new ruling against the FCC, the town of Poughkeepsie will be paying $4,000 or more of a perfunctory CYA analysis, a cover your ass analysis, rather than the town being the recipient of a meaningful risk assessment analysis. So in this event, the public safety would not be served, and instead it would be further threatened, and to add insult to injury, the people of the town of Poughkeepsie would ultimately pay for the privilege of that disservice with their money and their health.
That's
You're
not
sitting
correct.
here basically bashing a contractor before we hired him. I don't
No,
think this
well,
is the time.
because I read, I don't know how many pages it was, but it was a large presentation that he did for the town or the city of Hudson, and there were a lot of things missing from it, including measuring pre-existing levels in that area to then use it to justify why it was needed. So there weren't any measurements of pre-existing levels when we're only talking about phone calls. You know, you don't need that much to have a successful phone call, which is what the TCA and the telecommunications, bill was supposed to address. It's supposed to address phone calls.
If I could just interject and.
Sure.
You asked a question, we
Yeah.
gave you an answer as to
Mhm.
whether it's gonna be paid out of the escrow.
Yeah.
We said, yes, it will be paid out of the escrow by the applicant to the town.
Mhm.
You then proceeded to make the statement that the town of Poughkeepsie is spending taxpayer money to cover ourselves,
No,
and that's.
I'm saying,
Well, just stop.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It works better than both of us talking.
Okay.
together. So you asked a question, we gave you an answer, you then made a statement that you want to make anyway.
Yes.
Was correct.
yes,
And I agree with the supervisor that we're looking to hire the consultant, you're attacking the person. Not every consultant we hire will be perfect, but the consultant we hire should be balanced. So my guess is if you're hiring the right consultant, there'll be times where they decide that what the applicant wants is good, and there'll be other times where they decide what the municipality is looking at is good, or somewhere in between. So I'm sure you could probably find something with every professional that's hired where they've decided that, yeah, a project should go forward, or no, a project shouldn't. We shouldn't, as a town, be hiring applicants just to kill something and make it not go forward. So the credentials of this person seem very good. I personally would be uncomfortable attacking the person based on what his credentials are, to say that he's just a hack coming in to give a rubber stamp so the town can cover.
never
themselves.
used the word hack, but here's the point.
But-
His updated information goes to 2018. He is not looking at the new FCC decision, the decision against the FCC that happened just August 11th or 13th of this year. So he's good up until that point. And so we're talking, it's getting very serious now, because we have information that perhaps wasn't out there before. And so, he's good. 2018. He's looking at information that is funded by Big Telecom. He's not looking at information from the Bioinitiative
So this-
report of 2012.
So this is a matter that's going to be in front of the ZBA. I encourage you to attend that meeting and give your input to the ZBA, because this board will not be making a decision on that. We're just making the decision simply to hire the consultant to review it, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
So that meeting is the 18th, you said?
I'm not
I
sure
don't
what
know
the
when
date
it's
is.
on, I don't know when it's on the agenda, no. No, they meet on a Monday night,
They just had their meeting,
so
so
it's next month.
I don't,
If it's on the agenda, you have to look at the
Next
agenda, it
month.
may not be on the agenda.
they only have one meeting a month, lucky.
Yeah.
Long ones, but we,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody got anything else?
anybody else? Doreen, your hand is raised, but I can't unraise it, so maybe that's from before?
She's just waving.
Good night,
Hi, Dory.
thank you.
Jeff, we're in executive session.
Yeah, we have to close that part.
Make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to consider the following: discussions regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation, Ball vs. Town, Glenn vs. Town, the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property held by the town when publicly would be substantially affect the value thereof, to discuss matters which are exempt under the open meeting law, including matters subject to attorney-client privilege. So
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town goes in executive session, 8:46 PM. Thank you, everybody, have a good evening.